Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to TCG University. It's me, Noah, here with
James.
and we're bringing a Final Fantasy podcast. Instead of Best Damn Deck like we've usually been doing, we thought we'd talk about the Nationals format changes. Neither of us, unfortunately, are going to be at Nationals, but it's a hot topic.
I don't
for
even
everybody.
know what it is yet.
Yeah,
He knows. I'm not. I'm looking for the dates.
It's a hot topic for everybody. Nationals is coming up, I think, in about a week or two here. My dates are a little screwy, so we thought we'd kind of just go over it and see what people thought. I don't think there's anything that we can do to change what they've decided on the format currently, but in the future, maybe this will be big enough that they look at it and go, we probably shouldn't do this.
This looks sick.
It doesn't do anything.
No, but it looks sick. I was just trying to find the dates.
So we're going to go ahead and
September 21st and 22nd.
21st and 22nd. Awesome. So Jeff Curran of FFTCG Crystarium did make a whole article about this, posted it today, actually, which is really funny. So we're just going to go ahead and just kind of gloss through, read through that to give a gist. James doesn't know anything about the format. I know about the format.
I didn't hear anything about this.
For those of you that don't know, you're with James on what's going on here. Yeah, so let's go into it. Let me preface this with two caveats. He's extremely drunk and angry. Let's see. When running perhaps the most beloved format across the FFTCG players, 2-deck format is what we were initially given for NATS, is that we were going to get a 2-deck format, which for those of you that don't know, a 2-deck format is you go in each round with 2 decks. When you win with 1 deck, correct? Is it win?
Yep.
You swap.
No, so it's, if you win, you have to swap.
Yeah.
You have to at least win with both your decks.
You have to win with both decks.
To win the match.
It's not you lose twice, it's you win with both decks.
Win with both decks.
It matters for any
purposes
unforeseen
of
circumstances.
Random shit.
Yeah.
Because if you wanted, you could lose and still swap.
Where with a 2-deck format, you have 2 decks that you have. They cannot share cards in between them, so they're essentially 2 very different decks, usually a control and an aggro deck. It's how people like to play. That way you have some versatility in your matchups depending. You're not just stuck with 1 deck and then you lose and you're stuck playing it again for another.
Yeah. You have a deck that loses to Amaterasu. You have 2 decks that lose to Amaterasu, and your opponent decides he's just going to play Amaterasu.
So with 1 week left on the clock, Square Enix and Hobby Japan have thrown all that into the trash. Let's see why. So, what are the changes? Day 1 will instead be using the alternating decks format, similar to 2-deck. It features 2 decks instead of 2-deck. Instead of utilizing both decks.
Drunk, remember?
Yeah. Instead of utilizing both decks every round, instead of bringing all your tools to bear every round, you alternate between the 2, playing a best of 3 on a single deck. Also, the time limit is dropped from 90 minutes to 70 minutes, which he states will be relevant later. I also agree with that. I think that's a whole can of worms in and of itself. Odd number rounds will feature your deck A, while even number rounds will feature your deck B, which gives you the following. Out of the 7 rounds that they give us, you go deck A, deck B, deck A, deck B, deck A, deck B, deck A. Looks like you play deck A, 3?
Yeah.
4 times. Deck B, 3 times.
Yep.
So hopefully your deck A is your better deck, because you're going to be playing that one more anyways. Thus, whatever strategy you had planned for now, or for how your 2 decks would work in tandem, is gone. This essentially means that instead of having 1 extremely skill-intensive tournament, we instead have 2 completely separate normal tournaments on the same day. What do you think about that wording? I get the thought of it. It is.
I'm going to trash a lot of people that are agreeing with this. One, I think this is a terrible idea, especially 1 week before, and to alternate like this. I don't really want it to be a three-match format with 1 deck. I think 3-match format with 2 decks alternating is super stupid. But I think if you think a double deck format is as skill intensive as 1 deck 3 matches is crazy to me.
Well, the issue is you're balancing 2 different decks against 2 different decks. I'd say there's more skill to that.
I think
especially
there's less
with the
skill.
decks you bring in.
I think there's less skill.
How so?
You get mollywopped by the first one, and then if you know you can beat them with the second one, you just swap to the second one to beat them.
Well, you can't swap until you win, though.
No, you can swap. You can swap if you lose. You have to switch if you win, because you have to win with both your decks.
Yeah, so if your other one can't handle either of them, then what's the
point of the match? Yes. What's the point of the match in general if one of your decks can't beat both the decks? That's how you lose games.
So, okay, hold on. So then, are you saying, so this is, we both agree, bad format.
The alternating every round? Yeah, 100%.
So you think it should be you think it'd just be better to be 1 deck best of 3?
Yep, for 7 rounds, yes,
Do you
100%.
think that would matter with the, so I'm going to throw this out here because it's very off in space. I think 1 deck best of 3 would be cool, but not in the current meta format that we have, only because people build around best of 1s.
Yep.
And people build around 2 decks.
Sure.
So that's why the meta is the way it is. The meta
Again,
would have to change.
I've said this for a while. The game is expanded enough that it should just be a best of one, or best of 3 format in general.
Because then a lot of decks are tailored. I want to say you get a lot more decks that are tailored to kind of handling any and all situations if possible.
Yes.
Than instead of just being able to focus on one main
Yep.
game plan.
It's where
Or you just stick with the super hyper aggros and you go from there. But
it makes it to where in your format, you aren't allowed to just go all aggro. That's the reason I don't like 2-deck formats, because you're allowed to
you
go
have an
all aggro.
and a full.
You have a full control, and there's no way you can have in between. There's in betweens. That's whatever.
Mid rangers.
But your all aggro is going to lose to an Ama. That's how the format works. A good Ama shuts down like the all aggro deck, and then you just get counter aggroed anyways in one matchup. And then on the other matchup, if they don't have Ama, they have other pieces that will control you as well. So like the format isn't built to do 2 decks. Everybody says it's a 2-deck format. It's not. You're playing one deck to counter one deck, and hope that you get the good dice roll on whatever deck you chose for your first deck. I think it 100% is random based on the first deck you choose into your matchup. Because if your deck counters one of their 2 decks immediately, you just lose.
I get where you're coming from. I definitely see the merits in just a 1-deck best of 3. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fun aspect to me.
To me, the skill intensive tournament isn't built in the tournament. It's built in the deck building and choice that you bring.
So you just look at it differently on where the
there's
skill
obvious
is.
like match skill that is happening, because that's
Knowing
how
your
card games
matchups
work.
is how it works.
It's how card games work. When you're playing your game, it matters. Everything matters. Like, you can win matchups that are bad matchups, but in my opinion, almost 80% of the skill intensive part of it comes from just deck building and bringing the right deck to the tournament and choosing the right deck at the start of the match. That's it.
Okay.
That's why I think it's.
I think it's something they should try out in like.
I think 2-deck format's real cool. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's real cool. I don't think it should be a deciding factor for nationals.
Yeah.
That's not, in my opinion, it's not skill intensive.
I like the 2-deck. That's what they've been doing though.
Yeah.
So at this point, they should stick with what they've been doing.
Here's what I think they should have done. 2-deck format. Day 1 is A deck. Day 2 is B deck. And you have to submit your decks as, here's deck A, here's deck B. You have to lock yourself in the tournament for what deck you're choosing on day 2 and what deck you're choosing on day 1. Which means, if you choose the wrong deck for deck A, you're out. It just happens. It's as skill intensive as choosing A and B during a 2 out of 3. Plus, I'm going to also say 70 minutes is exactly where a 2-deck format should be. It's crazy.
70 is?
Yep.
Well, they do 90 for
I know.
decks because we have the slower control games are actually time. They eat time.
Yeah, it sucks. Don't play control. Don't play a slow control deck.
I mean, I give them points for at least giving the time to the players. I think the big issue, so currently, we'll see what Jeff has to say as well, but is that doing
the alternating is
a
fucking
best of 3 in
crazy.
70 minutes feels real weird, especially if like your deck A and your deck like you're playing 2 control decks and you don't even know it. You know.
Well, every other card game does 60 minutes, so I mean.
Yeah, but I feel like every other card. I mean, I guess I haven't ever played Magic before, so I don't know how bad Magic can get.
UFS was 60.
Yeah, but UFS always feels like you can still get there before going to time, unless your deck specifically.
Here's the
needs to go to
thing:
time.
you can 100% get there. I think in some Final Fantasy matches before going to time. The only difference is people choose not to for the risk of EX bursts,
Yeah, that's fair.
which is a play decision, and should not format into how the tournament should be run. Because
don't think
people
that
because people
formats
want
into
to
tournament. I think
because
it's just
people
like
want to
that.
extend the game 5 to 6 more turns because they're scared of an EX burst. Should not dictate another 20 minutes into a round.
Well, I don't think they're dictating that for that specific reason, though. right?
What I'm saying is that's the reason people are upset is they lose 20 minutes. Well, you shouldn't have the 20 minutes. You're spending another 10, 15 every single game because you're waiting to try and not get hit by any experts so you can push. Like to me,
I can't counter on that only because I have very limited knowledge in high-level tournament play for multiple games. So
like if the experts are gonna fuck you, it's gonna
personally,
fuck
I think
you.
90 minutes is fine. It's what we've been running with. There hasn't been an issue with
I,
it before.
here's the thing. I agree. The alternating format's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's a nutty ass thing to do.
So going down. So you may notice what's to stop people from just playing their best deck each round? How could anyone possibly track whether Chris P. Bacon is actually playing deck A or B? Well, Square Enix has thought of that, and the answer is your 2 decks and limit break decks must have all different sleeves. Yikes.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, they should already actually, but
Oh, your limit breaks don't transfer over too, huh?
no, yeah, because there's different decks.
Damn, that's crazy.
Your decks have to be different. Limit breaks part of
They're
your deck.
only allowed to do this because they just put out another set of limit break cards, though. This would not be possible with.
No, it would still be possible, but the format would be crazy.
It'd be
You'd have to. You'd have
You're
to.
just
You'd have
throwing
some
in random shit.
random shit.
If that sounds like it has nothing to do with the question at hand, that's because it has nothing to do with the question at hand. I'm not watching bend over like a hawk so that if I happen to get paired with him next round, he plays those god awful. What does that say? Chartreuse war crime sleeves against me. I know he played the same deck last round. I should not have to scout every potential opponent and enter their sleeve colors into a goddamn Excel spreadsheet to protect myself from cheating. I mean,
Again,
what's a better way to?
day 1, day 2.
Yeah, but if we're going off, so past that, right? We can't fix day 1, day 2 now. So we're doing the alternating. How do you decide what's deck A and deck B?
You 100% have to have it into the system.
Like different sleeves, or you just
when they hand out match slips, and you gotta have match slips out on.
and you just write which deck you're using, or do
Yep,
you?
you have to. No, they have to have the deck list. Square Enix needs to know both the decks, what round they're using.
Square, but
Square.
the TO.
The Final Fantasy event needs to know both decks for each player, have them in a relative name that somebody, when they look at the name and the deck list, not deck list, but like deck name, will know what it is. So you're not allowed to use things like, what is it? It's, I can't remember his name. Everyone always uses his decks. They always
Viridian deck.
Viridian deck.
Who?
Or Viridian's deck. Or whatever. Yeah. They're not allowed to put that. You have to put 13 Fire Ice, which tells your opponent what you're playing. But that's the only way you'll find out if your opponent's trying to cheat.
So I know they only do this in Top Cuts where they give deck lists out for your opponent's deck. Do you think
No.
that
They can't do that. It'd take too much time.
it would take too much?
Yep.
Just to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so either you do the sleeves or you make the TO. The TO has to be on top of it and make sure that everybody's using the correct decks.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be up to the players though, right?
No, it should 100% not be up
At
to
all.
the players.
Okay, cool. I'm glad.
The players should understand that, like, if they want to catch their opponent cheating, to understand what to look out for. Like, if they know you played your Cat 10 deck first round, you should not be playing your Cat 10 deck again.
Yeah.
So, like, if somebody recognizes that, somebody should speak up.
But it's not the.
But it's the
players trying
same
to
thing
keep
as
track.
saying, well, I know that they only had X amount of cards in their deck, yada yada. They were playing these 8 limit breaks, and now I saw this playing the same deck playing these other different limit breaks. The same way, if you notice cheating, you should call out cheating in any tournament. Like, if you notice an Infinity player putting a card under the mat, you fucking tell somebody.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way it has to be. But this format is not a good format.
So why are the changes being made? Here we can only speculate. It is at this point that I hope to be the most neutral. There's a good answer for this, which I'd like to address. First, some other events are run like this, and Square Enix wants to unify results, or rule sets. Sorry, I can get behind that. I fundamentally disagree with it. I think it's the wrong choice. I think 2-deck is a much better format than alternating decks, but I can at least respect it. I can understand how Square Enix might look across the sea, see a bunch of people running their events differently, and seek to bring them all together. Supposedly, EU did this, but I can't guarantee that. I just heard musings of it. I've not confirmed that yet. So if anybody in EU watches this or catches a glimpse of this,
What's the JP
let us
format? How do Worlds work?
Worlds is 2-deck.
That's 100% just what this format should be.
That's what Worlds was last year, at least. I don't know what Worlds will be like
maybe
this
Worlds
year.
this year's
Maybe
going to be
they'll change
this.
it.
Like that's
Well, I
what
can
matters to
appreciate
me. That's what matters most is
what
what's
Worlds
the
be.
because Worlds is supposed to be the culmination of everything. Everything should play the same way as everything. If Worlds is the end of the year. Everything leading up to the year should be exactly the same. So if EU did it, we're about to do it, and I'm going to guess JP's going to do it, then I'm going to guess Worlds is going to be this format. That's going to be my guess. I'm guessing this is not a choice by the tournament runner. This is Square Enix and Final Fantasy TCG themselves going, this is what we're running for the year.
Well, it wouldn't be. It'd be Hobby Japan. Not
Sure,
Square
whatever.
Enix, but yeah.
Square Enix,
I don't want. I mean, they licensed the game out. I don't
Yeah,
want to throw Square Enix like they're
whatever.
the
We still call it Squeenix. It's whatever.
I mean, yeah.
But like they're deciding that's how they're running this event, right? So like If that's how they're going to do it, that's how they're going to do it, and I'm fine with that. I think it's crazy that that's how they want to do it. That's putting way too much, like, pressure and honesty onto your players. That does not exist all the time. You're going to read out loud?
No, the rest of it is just him essentially saying that more people like 2-deck over alternating. So his good reason is that they're trying to make everything the same.
Which is fine.
Okay.
Like
so
I said, respect.
There's also an extremely bad answer to this, which is being fair. I do not think this is the reason, but I would be remiss if I did not touch on it. There may be financial constraints. The Nationals Championship is taking place in rented hotel space. It features staff paid directly by Square Enix. It is the only event in North America that is beholden to these two things. Material Cups are held at local venues, at card shops, and is up to those shops to source tournament organizers, judges, and to have figures out there streaming, and to figure out their streaming situation. Square Enix is relatively uninvolved with the details, leaving the individual store to concern themselves with said details. Here, Square Enix is in charge, and unlike Materia Cups occurring at dedicated tournament areas, the National Championship is at a hotel in Los Angeles right next to LAX, and the hotel is charging them. What are the rates? I have no idea, but there is a non-zero chance that cutting the length of the tournament by 2 hours over the course of 7 rounds, going from 90 minutes per round to 70, saves 140 minutes. Saves a considerable amount of money. Money that also does not need to be paid to the judges, the commentators, or the behind-the-scenes staff. Behind-the-scenes staff. Now, I'm as violently leftist as they come, and pay predatory corporations less sounds great to me, although paying workers less is an affront to God. But that is not the reason, the real reason. This is a bad reason. This is a bad reason because I would be more than happy to play 2 decks in 70 minutes if that's what it took. I would understand the money is a problem. We're happy to compromise. Let's just shorten the round timer and play 2 deck. I swear we'll play faster. So the bad answer is they're just being greedy. So I don't know. I don't know how it comes to renting out space at hotels, if it's by hour, if it's by day, whatever.
It might be like an open and close thing too.
But I will say I don't think that's the reason.
I also know.
I don't think it's either of these reasons realistically.
I'm honestly leaning towards two things, which is one, the hotel is going to send all of its people home outside bare minimum at a certain time. They want all their things, venues closed and done by an X amount of time, so that way by the time everybody's off on their shorthand, by the end of the night, they're good and they're done. They don't have to worry about things. So that way if you have 100 and some odd people staying past that time, somebody has to worry about those 100 and some odd people instead of guests are going to be in their room and have to worry about who's coming in the front door. That is probably the big one I'm thinking of is long events, 90-minute fucking Final Fantasy events, which is crazy to me, means it's going to be forever. It's going to be like midnight by the time you're done with all the 9 rounds or whatever. Depending, 9 if they did a normal one, right?
It'd be 7 rounds still.
You think it's
Day 1 is still 7 rounds.
Sure, 7, 90 minutes, whatever.
Because they have a limited number of people going next,
that's also
right?
true.
So it's 7 rounds.
But 90 minutes, 7 rounds, whatever. You're adding another, like you said, hour and 40 minutes, which is 2.5 hours almost. 2:10, but or 2:20.
They're saving about what a round?
2:20, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
So 120.
And that's just based on tournament cut hours. That's not counting in between rounds, lunch break, just scuttle across it all. That's 220 just based on what they're cutting based on the thing.
Help me here. Am I doing my math? So that's only like an extra round at most in terms of time, right?
No, it's 2.
Plus extra shit.
2.
If they're at 90?
Yeah. 90 is 180, which is about 3 hours.
So
it's a little under. Sorry, it's a little under. A little over, yeah.
If they did an extra 90, okay.
Yeah, which is whatever. But they're cutting the 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. That means instead of getting what's probably started at 10 o'clock, 7. You got each hour 7 hours, so you're looking at about 5 o'clock. But you have to give time for lunch about 6:30, and then give it time for scuttle probably about 7.5, right? 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then you add the 2.5 hours onto that, you're looking at 10:30, 11.
The usual time.
And that's not counting the other scuttle that could be in there. So you're looking at like 11 o'clock. They probably want everybody out by like 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So like, they probably had to cut it short to a certain point just to be able to knowingly rent the room to get their things done. If that's the case.
Do you also want to state, I think both these problems each one only hits one specific part of it, right? So like the good answer only hits the alternating decks, but the bad answer only hits time constraint. And neither of them have a good, like there's no bad answer for why they decided to do alternating. And there's no...
the alternating stops the time in between choosing what decks you're doing. It just going right into the next match.
It's crazy.
Like I said, I think it's one deck format's the best format to do anything.
It could be a hotel. I guess it
you
could
can just
be a
go
time
into each
constraint,
match every
but
time.
I don't think it's a money thing as much as like they're only allotted so much time, maybe.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of the time it's probably the big one.
Yeah.
Either that or this is just the format they want to run with now.
Which is weird.
It could just be something they're testing this year.
Yeah, but why would they do it? See, the biggest issue is I don't think people would be... Please, anybody say in the comments what you think on it. I don't think people would be as mad if they had announced this beforehand. Because like
100%.
Imagine being the guy.
100%.
You got your NATS invite. You have your 2 decks set and situated,
Yeah.
or you're like just about to finish and collect whatever cards you need, whatnot. And then a week before NATS happens, they go, "Hey, we're alternating decks now." So one of your decks, more than likely, probably just doesn't do jack.
Well, here's the other
deck.
thing is, the other way you can look at it from their point of view. EU just did theirs right. They did theirs just like this, 2 deck format, alternating.
I don't know for sure. That's the thing.
Didn't he say that?
He didn't.
Did you say that? Oh, okay.
I said that might be the case that they've done for their big like nationals event, but I don't know for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If say the EU did this one, right? They did the same thing. They had a 2 deck format, alternating decks, and then US announced their 2 deck format for the event. Why would it not be the same?
Because every NATS we've had has been 2 deck format without alternating.
Except UK NATS wasn't.
Every nationals format for America has been a 2 deck format.
And
That's
every
alternating, right?
Sure.
But even if you want to open that and say every UK has been alternating, we're different, right?
No, I'm
We've
saying
had
this last UK one was alternating.
Sure, but why would they not announce that beforehand? You know what I mean?
It's still a 2 deck format.
It's an alternating 2 deck though. That changes the way people
Just
decide
a
to
2 deck
play and
format.
build.
Just because the base rules have changed doesn't mean the name of it has changed.
It's
the way you play the way you build
the name change dictates how the difference in the rules.
2
right?
deck format.
2 deck format. We understand a 2 deck format to be
differently than the alternating.
a deck A and a deck B, and then alternating 2
I'm
deck
saying,
says alternating.
what if that's just the way they view it? It's a 2 deck format.
That's dumb.
We messed the
I
rules.
think
Yeah,
that's the worst way to view
100%.
it.
Like I said, I think the alternating thing is crazy.
Okay, cool.
That's a
So
terrible way
what
to have
makes
a
these
format.
changes so bad? The best way for me to explain is to do something I probably shouldn't do. I'm going to explain my strategy for nationals. I'm going to come clean about one of the 2 decks I'm playing, and I'm probably going to pay the price for this next weekend. But I need you to understand how much this change has fucked me. I need you. Oh, no, we're way in. I need you to understand how
By the time we
singularly
do the intro, we're already
angry I am about this. How much it has thrown all the preparation into the dumpster fire and lit that dumpster on, or thrown preparation into the dumpster and lit it on fire. So for those of you who aren't weirdly parasocial, I recently made top 4 at Materia Cup with Turbo Chaos. Crazy fucking deck. Love the deck, but as a known quantity, I think it's a bad deck to choose for a single deck tournament, which it is. The detail is important. A single deck tournament is too easy for the room to decide that 1/3 of them will run into Mist Dragon or Lev 6. Oh, that's cool. It has little links. That suddenly can't make day 2. I mean, look at the deck that beat me in semis. Let's look at that real quick. Hey, yeah. Hopefully this shows all the Materia Hunter thing. Sorry, guys, if it doesn't. We'll run through. I like to view these as images because I'm fucking weird. Oh, it's Siren.
Yeah.
It's Chaos Siren, which, you know, honestly, I get.
That deck's real hard.
That will really mess up a Chaos
That
deck.
deck is a big wall.
Cool. Beat me in semis. I literally cannot beat this deck on Turbo Chaos because of all the EXs as well that are packed in here. There's no way he does. The discard 2 is one of the better things that Turbo Chaos has, and the fact that he's running Lev 6, Kusith, and Kuchulain is insane. Like, he just, it's gross. If Milo and I played 100 games, I would be extremely lucky to win once, even if he didn't know the matchup. To Witch's credit, he did know. Oh god, did he ever. However, in 2 decks, suddenly that's okay. His deck runs both the cards I want to see the least, which means if someone runs it in 2 deck, their other deck cannot have either, which means their other deck is fair game for Turbo Chaos. Probably. So if I run into a second deck that has roughly the same matchup speed as Turbo Chaos, if I run into a deck that loses the same decks, but wins versus the same decks, I can ignore my own weaknesses by preying on the weaknesses of others. Probably. So I've been testing and planning and searching and scheming, and I came up with a second extremely aggressive pair with, what's TC?
Turbo Chaos?
Oh, yeah. Did he shorten it anywhere in here?
No.
I'm glad you know. With Turbo Chaos, I've been grinding that deck at locals and playtesting. It's a deck that I would never have chosen to play normally. It's a deck I absolutely would not choose to play in a best of 3 setting like what we have now, but it's what I've spent a fucking month testing and practicing, believing it to be good for a format that no longer exists. The month is gone. All my preparation, a month of testing from August 11th to now, gone. All my strategizing, all my theory crafting, all my experimentation is gone, worthless, invalidated, and I qualified late. There are people who qualified weeks or even months before me. Hell, there are people who qualified last December. They all deserve to be even more upset about this than me. What are your thoughts? So this is where I think part of the skill for a standard 2-deck format comes in, is because I think you mentioned it before, is like one deck might have the chance to just beat out something else, which is fine. I mean, you're working with that assumption.
It preys on the one thing
but
we
it
hate.
also,
It preys on the one thing we hate about our format the most.
which is,
What's the 3 decks of the format right now?
leave me alone.
The 2-deck format preys on the one thing we all hate about the format currently, which is it switches and rotates between 3 different decks all the time, and it's mostly just the same 3 decks built in different ways.
But you will see decks that get around them as well.
Sure, but those are your dark horses.
Well,
those
yeah.
are the ones you can account for in the in your 2-deck format
Well,
calculations.
yeah. So
That's the issue.
Definitely one of the things. I think that
I do, like, here's the thing. I 100% agree. 1 week before the event, switching to an alternate format just garbage.
crazy. God, it's the worst thing ever.
I would have been.
And
I would have been much better if they went. We're doing a 2-deck format. Day 1 you have to play deck A. Day 2 you have to play deck B. To me, that's a fine way to do it, right?
That still brings up that, like, for instance, if we take Turbo K, he's still gonna have to change that deck. That deck does not win in a best of 3.
Now, here's the thing: you have to win in a best of 3. You have to get lucky, and you have to have good matchups.
And you have to not draw one of the 12 dark cards sitting in your deck.
Yeah, it's the same way as the Materia Cup. You have to have certain good matchups to get to a point where you're good, which is fine. He could take Turbo Chaos and be just as lucky as he was in the Materia Cup, or have his just good.
Yeah, but I think in a best of
generic
1
luck
with that deck. So if we're gonna talk with that deck specifically in a best of 1, for like Materia Cups, for
You
instance,
just have to win one game, yeah.
Yeah, it's only one.
I get it.
And the deck has that.
But here's the other thing is
explosion factor to it, that whenever they're able to, they can just go.
Unlike other best of 3 formats, we don't have a sideboard. It's limit break deck.
Yeah.
So like you can't go, well, I know I need Mist Dragon and this to counter Turbo Chaos. It's whatever I brought is what I got.
And you got to roll with it. I mean, that's how I play 90%.
That's why, like, for me, any matchup outside of like winning the matchups you're not supposed to, any matchup where you win playing your base deck, it doesn't matter if it's a best 2 out of 3. You should be able to win your best 2 out of 3 regardless, because it's built to play against that deck anyways. Yeah. It's not like we have a sideboard where we have to worry about this and that. Like if somebody misplayed and it was a really close game, maybe worry, but that's a personal thing. Your deck barely won, and you had misplays that were played against you. Like, worrying about a best of 1 to me is crazy. It's the one thing I hate about the game.
I mean,
is one of the things I hate about the game.
See, I think they fixed the best of 1 with a quote-unquote best of 3 via 2 deck. And I think people have just gravitated to it. I'm assuming people that moved into Final Fantasy and learned about the 2 deck format probably didn't like it initially. That's an assumption. I
like it because it creates a lot of cool, fun things you can not normally see in tournaments.
Adds in more diversity to it, right?
To the tournaments, yeah.
Again, you're not just stuck watching people play the same exact deck. You'll see them, sure. You're going to see those decks
100%. But you'll start seeing.
You'll see other things there.
You'll start seeing other things that aren't
deal with them
there.
or have the chance to.
It is the one thing I do like about it is you see a lot of other different
with an
decks.
alternating. My issue with alternating, or another issue to stack on, because everybody has issues with alternating format, is like you hope that you get lucky in the deck that you pick and the deck your opponent picks, that your deck is better than theirs. And on top of that, You're also now, in my opinion, I think you're limiting the deck variety significantly because now everybody has to play what is a top tier deck.
I think we're gonna see like 2-3 decks. I think it's gonna be Wool, Warriors of Light, and I think we're gonna see like Chaos, Man in Black, Shark deck.
Shoutouts to Ghoul. He did like a whole tier list video that I watched. And the decks that he put as like tier 1, like the better decks, is Mono Earth, which I agree with. Mono Earth's insane, especially because of Hythlodius and Ibn Sulch. The Refia control, with just standard Wool, because Refia's still nuts. He threw Knights up there because Knights still has very good control potential, especially if you're not trying to play to just explode. And then there was a fourth one. Oh god, what was the fourth one? I don't remember. Oh god, there was a fourth one that was up there that had surprised me, but I just can't remember what it was. It wasn't Chark though, which is the weird thing. I think it was like a summons based deck.
I 100% would put Chark up there. Chark is such a hard counter to a lot of the things in the game right now. Like
that's if you can get the arcs off. He doesn't matter without arc. Is the Chark. You know.
Yeah.
Just the chaos doesn't matter. I think he put Turbo Chaos up there, because Turbo Chaos just has that ability to stunt you very early, and then burst out.
Yep.
Because your three main swingers are Chaos, Fujin, and Raijin. And then not only does Chaos deal damage to you, but he gets rid of a dude on board, and he makes you discard 2. And if there's no dude on board, he makes you discard 2. Turn 1, they can just drop you down to 3 cards in hand. And then what do you do if you don't pack EX Burst, or your EX Burst just don't hit? You know what I mean? So yeah, like those are the decks I feel like we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see Turbo Chaos that much, really.
No, I don't.
Because it's just not going to have
too
its
glass
time to shine.
cannon-y.
Yeah. Moving along. So what's the best play now? With all that in mind, their optimal strategy is to play the 2 individually strongest decks you can muster without fighting over cards. There's no NATS unique metagame where you try to deduce what 2 decks other people will play and try to counter that. It's just the normal single deck metagame except twice. 2 deck provides unique and interesting decisions that you do not ever have to think about in any other format, and alternating decks absolutely does not give a fuck about those decisions. Prioritizes playing as safe as possible, where 2 deck can sometimes find itself with a result that double risky decks is the strategy. That's the situation I find myself in, where I trusted 2 risky decks could come together to present formidable and fearsome duo. That together they could stand tall against the metagame by accepting their weaknesses they could overcome and find success. But no, I'll never find out if I was right. I've been taken away. And now we have to revert to the reign of the safest, most boring decks on the planet. That's no excitement.
Wrong.
There's no drama. There's only control, both in terms of archetypes and in terms of Square Enix meddling. I kind of like it. There's only control.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure aggro deck will win the format, but yeah.
You think somebody's going to bring an aggro deck thinking it's a control meta because that's more than likely what people are going to
No,
play?
it's the one thing control loses to in big formats is aggro.
Aggro?
Yep. Somebody just, and that's all it takes.
The controls just can't
Like,
keep up.
If you can't keep up with an aggro deck, it's just going to happen.
But what aggro deck?
What's super aggro right now? Not aggro, just like sweep decks, anything. Like, if it's consistent enough and works, if your opponent's just not good, just doesn't have the cards at the moment, swoop.
It's weird to say, I think Mono Earth might actually still be fine. Only because Hythlodius is nuts.
What gives haste to that in that deck?
I don't know. You can realistically throw anything you want in when Mono Earth is every color under the sun right now.
Also true.
I haven't looked at any of the
so
super
many
recent
things
ones.
this game needs to fix.
But that's just kind of like where it's at right now. It's insane. Okay, cool. So keep going down. How does this affect people who haven't qualified yet? We'll get there in a sec. To me, this is the part that truly pisses me off the most. More so than anything that affects me, all of these changes have only been announced via personal direct email to people already qualified for nationals. The only reason anyone not qualified knows about these changes is because we have all been doing their best to signal boost them. While there is certainly personnel that I want a lot of people to know about these decisions that I disagree with, there are some people out there who need to know. 10 invites have yet to go out. 10 people will be affected by these changes who have not yet been told about them. The last chance qualifier happening one day before NATS originally promised 4 invites, but 6 people have had to decline, leaving a total of 10 invites on the table for last chance qualifier.
It's crazy.
The last chance qualifier is literally the day before NATS. It's in Los Angeles. Everyone competing in it needs to know about these changes before they leave their homes. I agree with that. There have not been they have not been made public outside of the efforts of the community. Even the official post regarding the North American Championship on Square Enix's own website, which was updated the same day as this announcement, does not adequately explain the new format. Scrolling down, here's what the update in its entirety seen on their website. September 21st and 22nd at Embassy in I can't pronounce that, California. Update: this event will require players to have 2 decks made. They cannot share cards between 2 decks on day 1. Players will be participating in 7 best-of-3 Swiss rounds, with the top 16 players moving on to day 2. It actually doesn't tell you that you're alternating your decks, if that's the case. We can look on the site too.
Again, 2-deck format. By name.
Play schedule, so I think that's just the excerpt that they've added to it. North American qualifier, yeah, except the cookies, my guy. I love chocolate chip.
Cookies.
That's local qualifiers. That's all the cool event dates. What is this for?
That's the people who've qualified.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. I don't need that. North American Championship. Oh, here we go.
Nope, nothing.
Yeah, nothing's shown up on there.
I 100% agree with that last statement of there are people that don't have their invites yet. They're going to show up the day of the event, day before the event, to try and qualify for it. That would not have heard that this is how the event's going to go.
Yeah, and imagine trying to scramble your decks then. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you know what 2 decks I would play? I want you to guess what 2 decks I would play.
Are they out of decks that you already have made?
Yeah, I don't think I'd play anything different than what I'm playing.
Okay, so Mono Ice would probably be one of them.
That wasn't even a consideration. Man, now it's really. I have a lot of really decks that I have like 4 decks I'm really happy with right now, consistency wise, that I would play for normal 2 decks.
I would say Mono Ice and Marv.
Mono Ice, Marv. I still like Wool. Wool's an easy deck, and then Mono Wind. I still like the Mono Wind deck. It's very consistent, very good. But actually,
for you to play Marv, Marv would be hilariously good.
Marv and Mono Ice would probably be the 2 I would choose.
That'd probably surprise people. Okay. For one, this isn't even accurate. 8 people have 8 people have 3-round buys, and they're only playing 4 rounds. I know. This is insane nitpick, but I'm drunk and angry, so let me nitpick. Hey, those people don't have to worry too much about it, then, I guess.
They still have to alternate for 4 rounds.
Yeah, this doesn't sufficiently distinguish between 2-deck and alternating decks. It makes it impossible to tell that the format has been irrevocably altered. This genuinely does not give information to explain what the format is. Both 2-deck and alternating decks use best of 3 and are more than 1 deck, meaning that even the most recent public update from Square Enix fails to adequately explain that the North American Championship format, what the North American Championship format even is. There's an incredibly important distinction that simply is not addressed in any way. If you're a local qualifier competitor, well then I'm glad you found this article so you can prepare properly, because at no point did Square Enix, plan to give you necessary need-to-know information before you got on your plane. Oh, did you use the same 2 sleeves between your main and LB deck? Well, now you have 12 hours to find 2 more sleeve colors. Alright, we're going to get to the difference in formats, which is something that... This will be fun. Otherwise, though, no, I wholeheartedly agree with this. I think it's really dumb for those people that don't know. I think they should have posted this overall in general. Even if you don't make NATS, I don't know why it's a bad thing to tell you how the format for NATS is going to work. People watch Nationals. It's like a big thing.
I can understand if they wanted it to be like a cool surprise. Like they had this really cool cooked up format they were going to do. It's not a cooked up format at all. But like if they had this really cool idea, like they wanted to like surprise everybody and have it be really cool, and when I could get that. But 100%, there should have been a public announcement before an email announcement.
To qualifiers, to people that already qualify.
No, they should. I'm saying it should have been a public announcement, and then it should have said, people who have qualified expect an email with like more information on stuff.
But I'm saying they only sent this to the people that qualified, which again, as stated, the people that didn't qualify are going to have a hell of a time. Hopefully, people can share this out, or share the article, for Christ's sakes, dude. Crystarium does so much work. So other people can catch up on this as well. So what's the difference? Or is the difference in formats really worth getting worked up over? This will be a fun one. Let me assure you, while I have a strong presence for 2-deck, I would have been more than happy not to play it. Square Enix announced alternating decks was going to be NATS format back in January or even March. I wouldn't be upset today if the format had been changed with even with even a month remaining before NATS, I might have been irritated, but I wouldn't be unspeakably livid in the way that I am now. With only a week between the announcement and the event, there's simply not enough time, or not time, for anyone to adequately prepare for Nationals. Alternating decks is not just a small change from 2-deck, it's a completely different format. Let me illustrate. Do you think they're two separate formats in a big way?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
100%.
I want to make sure we go through that first. What do you think if they announce? I said it. If they announced this earlier, I mean, people would probably be annoyed, but they could prepare more for it.
They did it at least a month in advance. I think you'd be fine.
You think at least a month would be fine?
Yeah.
All right. In 2-deck, as I talked
Well,
about
yeah, look at
earlier-
it this way. People had their invites in, like, March and January, right?
Mhm.
We had a set that came out last month.
Mhm.
It's like,
It would make
that's
the
like,
most
what,
sense to
a
announce it
month
when the new
ahead?
set comes
Like,
out. Right.
a month ahead for a new set changes
That
the entire
people
format.
Literally, yeah, it did.
Like-
Because we used to have Wool sitting almost predominantly at the top, plus, like Wool Chart kind of bouncing around and whatnot. And now, I mean, Mono Earth was there, but I think Mono Earth definitely takes the cake now as like the best deck in the format.
But Mono, I don't think so.
It's because Mono Earth does what Earth Wind wanted to do, where it can consistently board wipe and build up its board state back again. Plus, it has access to one of Wool's best cards, which is Wool. And then it also has Emmett Selch that says, I played an Ignis, shoot a dude, I'll grab a card. And now Hythlodius that says, hey, Emmett Selch also says, I played a dude, shoot.
Play 4 dudes.
And then deal with it now. Oh, you can't? Cool. Bye. Like, they spam out too quickly now. So in 2-deck, as I talked about earlier, as long as both your decks can beat one of your opponent's decks, you should win the matchup. Let's take a look at theoretical inverse of 2-deck, where instead of needing to win both decks, you have to avoid losing with both decks. Where once you lose with a deck, you must switch to your deck. You must switch to your other deck. I don't know how I missed that. Here it makes more sense to play safer decks with a wide range of good matchups. Here it makes more sense to play decks that cover each other's bad matchups. Here the basic strategy is that 2 decks you want to bring is completely flipped on its head. Whatever strategy is good normally is bad here. Anything on that?
What's that? The theoretical inverse of 2 decks.
So
okay.
we swapped. So
Like-
instead of being like, oh, one of these 2 decks I bring will take out one of their decks, it's I should not lose. I should just build a deck that doesn't lose. An alternating deck is even more different than that. It is fundamentally and totally a different format, and we have a mere 7 days to prepare with that. Again, if this change has been announced a long time ago, if we had enough time to contend with it, then maybe it would have been accepted. By announcing it only 1 week out, Square Enix is destroying the months upon months of practice that we have put into solving the format, to achieving comfort with the format that no longer exists. With only 1 week left, we can possibly with only 1 week left, how can we possibly properly prepare for a new format, one that has never been tried in North America before? How are we supposed to adapt to so little foreknowledge to a format that is completely alien to us, and considering that no part of the changes has been made public? How are the local qualifying contestants, the LCQs, supposed to stand on equal ground to those who have already qualified? Last chance qualifier. Why did I say local? Jesus Christ. Don't have me read things out loud if I haven't read through them before. Good note to self. This is the most important takeaway here. By completely changing how the Nationals Championship works on a fundamental level with only 7 days on the clock. Again, that is the biggest issue overall. I think everybody can agree the biggest glaring issue is making the announcement right before NATS, because that does change up the format of how NATS is going to function. And some people are probably just going to say YOLO and go in with the 2 decks that they have for the 2-deck format. Some people might have the chance to change things up, but it's not guaranteed. Square Enix has violated the trust of its players, so what can we do? Honestly, nothing. We're fucked. Short of
That's all, folks. Let's
yeah, right. Wrap it up. Short of a total player strike come September 21st, there's no way we can convince Square Enix to return things to the way they should be. They hold all the cards, and we are but bit players in their story. I'm doing what I can by being as loud and obnoxious as possible and trying to minimize the potential damage that last chance qualifying participants to the last chance qualifying participants, but I generally don't have any good answers. I don't even have a good oh my god. Is it denouement? What denouncement? Is that denouncement? No, denouement. I said that right. I'm so sorry, guys. If you're not playing at NATS, then pray for us.
It's too big a word.
I'm not religious, but I'll pray. If you are, you can please do me a huge favor and pretend I didn't just announce to the entire fucking world that I'm playing Turbo Chaos, because Jesus fucking Christ. Please, just play a forward on turn 1 and pass turn 2 with exactly 2 in hand. Please, 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 please. And that's the wrap on that. So
Hopefully you were able to read all this. Did we think about that?
no, they can.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole thing was showing up on there. Plus, I mean, the link for Crystarium should be in the
That's also
video
true.
anyway, so they'll get
It'd
to
just
it.
be weird if we were just scrolling across nothing.
We're just the entire time it's just our faces on the screen with nothing. I made sure that we could showcase
I
this
just
on
want
there
to make sure.
so people weren't lost the complete time. So yeah, overall, bad decision. I think alternating decks is just stupid in general. I would never have thought about doing
it's a very terrible idea for a
it.
tournament.
Even I don't
It's
agree.
just boring.
I don't agree with James, and this is just because I'm in the changes bad category specifically for this. But I think just keeping it as 2 decks is fine. I think if they were going to change it, they just shouldn't. James says that they should just change it to a best of 3, 1 deck, but not alternate.
I think best of one's unskilled. So
That's fine. I don't disagree. But that's why I think the 2 deck kind of
like here's the thing. I'm fine with 2 deck existing. I think best of 3 is unskilled.
Plus,
Or
I like
best
playing
of
card
1
games,
is
and I think
unskilled.
technically you can get more games in a 2 deck format than you can
You get the same amount of games.
in a best of 3.
Yes, you get the same amount of games.
Nah.
It's 2 out of 3.
But they're more varied. He's right, but they are more varied. So
They
it's
are
whatever.
very, very much more varied.
I mean, shoot, for Bahamut Brawl years ago, I took dancers and cadets, I think.
Do you know what I took?
You played, because Travis played some Palamporum Rydia and
You played that.
Bart's Boko.
Yeah.
You played, oh God, what did you play? Was Avalanche one of them?
Yeah.
Yes, Avalanche was one of them, and
I played the same colors across both my decks.
oh, Avalanche and Waff, but you couldn't share cards. Oh God, I
Waff
remember
is
that.
90% the same thing, and so is Avalanche. So I don't have to worry about it. I just wasn't allowed to use Amma and Miss Dragon in both my decks.
Yeah, you had to figure out which.
So we
deck
found
was more
replacements. Elias is a great card when you need hasters. So like,
important. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else I really want to add to this. I think everything that could be said has basically been said by Jeff. But it's good for you guys.
it is a very rough thing for them to do it like a week
yeah,
before.
like post this out as much as possible. I know it's already in the Facebook group, but like just give it out there to everybody. I am hoping, there's the hope that this is just a one-time thing and Square Enix, Japan, whoever will realize that this was a bad idea and they're not going to do it again. But there's
or
no
at least
guarantee in the
have that
future.
forethought to do it sooner.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with an alternating format. It's boring. It's slow, especially as a 3 deck, because that means you're playing boring decks on both days or both rounds. But it's the doing it a week before that blows.
It's the biggest issue because
Because
not everybody is able to get their card. Like it hit me, right? So we buy our play sets in advance. We just slap the money down, get the play set, call it good. We don't care about anything else. Whatever
Not
we collect
everybody
just goes into a
cares.
little pile that we have for the community, whatever, if people need stuff. Some people don't do that. Some people can't do that. Some people buy boxes on boxes to try and pull the things that they want, right? So like, I know how hard it can be sometimes. Like when I pull Legends, I look at them and go, eh. And like, I put
It's
them
my
up for
favorite
later.
thing we did.
We don't care.
Oh, dude, a shit for you.
Yeah, we
Throw that
already
in
have
the
them.
tub.
Yeah, like that's the problem. We don't. Unfortunately, at least for me, I can't speak fully to James. I don't value the rarity of a card. When I pull it, I know how good the card can be, but I already have my playset, so I don't care anymore.
I don't value it unless it's a foil.
Yeah, like foils are the only things I really care about as much and stuff like. But like I get. Overall, people have a hard time trying to get things. I mean, for instance, freaking. How much is Irvine? I don't know. Let's
It's
check.
like $11, right?
TCG player. I typed that in wrong. Is your phone going off?
Yeah.
Is it Sam?
Yeah. Probably
Shout
calling
out to
about
Sam.
lunch.
Shout out to Ghoul again. That tier list video was very fun to watch. You should do that some more, my guy.
We should do a tier list soon.
I want to do it
do it
after
after
Nats.
Sure. See what comes out. You spelled Irvine wrong. You need
It's spelled Irvin. God, that's my mother and brother's last name. Irvine. I just needed to add the E. Oh my God.
Hey, do you want to?
Dude, what is going on?
Are you having a stroke?
Yes! Irvine's a $24 card.
Hey, we really need to get that Final Fantasy sorted. Just dang.
I play this card in so many decks. I love this card. I think it's a good card. It's just so funny to me because like my head doesn't wrap around the fact that this card's like $25, and if people want to play set of it, they're paying around $75 for.
Hey, we
Irvines.
really need to make sure Sam gets that stuff up.
And then the full art, let alone, is like almost 50 in and of itself. You know, Or
Dude, just buy 3 full arts, man.
What is
What's the foils?
the foil prices?
What's foil?
Let's see. This should be something we do is just pick legends and see how much they're worth. Oh god, where's the
It's at the top. Up.
Where? I don't use the web browser, so
like, all the way up at the top.
oh wow, weird.
It's because it scrolls with you.
I'm so used to the web browser. Just foils are like 27, 28.
So only like $4 more. Buy foils, guys.
Buy foils. Make your deck shiny.
Well,
What's
for
what's
12 extra bucks, you can get
how much is Chaos? Chaos is a legend from this set, and it's going to be a very important card. Chaos.
the new Chaos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Chaos is a legend, and he's like $6.
Yep.
How much is a foil at Chaos?
33.
This one's more. It doesn't see play,
I
except
have
for this Chaos deck.
I might have a foil, actually. I might have a...
You have a foil, I think. What's another legend from this set? Either way, whatever. So
Ethlodius.
is Hypholodius a legend?
No.
I was like, I think it's a rare or a
I
hero.
think it's a hero. Hero rare.
But yeah, otherwise, basically that's it. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell us what you guys think about the deck format changing. You don't have to share this.
Tell me
out,
what you
but
think
at least-
about a normal best of 3 format.
Yeah. Here's a big question, because James has talked about it numerous times before, sideboards. Do you think Final Fantasy is a game that if it went to a 1-deck best of 3 deserves sideboards? Yes or no?
Here's the thing, I'm a big fan of building a really good deck, and I have a couple little cards. Here's the thing, I'm fine if it was a 5-card side deck.
Mm-hmm.
You have 5 cards. I mean, most of the time it's probably just going to be one of the 3 and 2s, right? I play this Fire Earth deck, but I don't need Amma, I don't need 3 of Amma, 3 of Mist Dragon. Throw the extras into the side, put a couple of extra copies of this, yada yada, put in like Shadow Lords or like Neo X Deaths or something, or like an extra Shantoto if you want to play 2 instead of having 2 into your deck and you have a third one out there or whatever. I'm a big fan of having a good deck and a couple of cards to like sprinkle around every once in a
So
while.
let me rephrase the question then. Final Fantasy, if it were ever to go to a best of 1 format,
best of 3.
or sorry, best of 3 single deck format, my bad. Does it deserve a sideboard? If so, how many cards would you put in the sideboard? What, Yu-Gi-Oh's got 15?
Yes.
UFS had 8?
UFS is 10 now.
Oh, it's 10 now?
Yeah.
UVS,
Was
sorry.
8.
Old head.
Was 8.
Was 8.
Because it's what is it? 8.
What's the biggest one? Is Yu-Gi-Oh the biggest one at 15?
Yu-Gi-Oh's the biggest one, right?
Yeah, so anywhere between 0 and 15. Yeah. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And
Stay alert.